There comes a moment in every person's life when the mirror looks back and asks, "Are you still standing, or have you surrendered to the storm?" That question is not for the faint-hearted. It's for those who have been bent but not broken, hurt but not hardened, wounded but still willing to rise again. Your attitude defines your altitude, a simple truth that has carried countless people through storms they were never meant to survive, yet somehow did. Life has a way of humbling us, of testing every ounce of patience, faith, and courage we claim to have. But what separates those who crumble from those who conquer is not talent, not wealth, not luck, it's attitude. The quiet strength of how you choose to see yourself, your situation, and your possibilities. There are two people living inside every one of us. One sees the problem, the other sees the purpose. One focuses on the fall, the other on the rise. Your attitude decides which one wins, because attitude is not what happens to you, it's what happens inside you when life comes at you with everything it's got. You can't control every storm, but you can control whether you build a shelter or sit in the rain complaining about it. That choice, the choice to rise or to wither, determines how far you'll go. People with the right attitude don't see failure as final. They see it as feedback. They understand that defeat is not an identity, it's an experience, something that shapes but doesn't define. When you have a high attitude, even when you are on your knees, you are looking up. You are looking beyond the pain, beyond the current season, believing there's more waiting beyond the struggle. That is altitude, the ability to rise above even when gravity tries to pull you down. Attitude is not something you put on in the morning like a suit. It's something that lives in your soul. It's the voice that speaks when your back is against the wall. It's the decision to smile when the world gives you every reason not to. You see, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And who you are is built by what you think, what you speak, and how you carry yourself when no one is watching. If you carry bitterness, life mirrors bitterness. If you carry hope, life mirrors hope. The world is not just watching you, it's responding to you. Every day you are telling life what you deserve by the attitude you choose to wear. That's why you must guard it fiercely. Protect it from the whispers of doubt, from the poison of comparison, from the weight of past mistakes. Because your attitude determines the frequency you vibrate on, and that frequency attracts everything that matches it. There are people who walk through storms with their heads bowed low, and there are others who walk through with fire in their eyes. The difference isn't that one has less pain, it's that one refuses to let pain dictate their story. When your attitude is strong, even your enemies become teachers, even your losses become lessons. You begin to see that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Every detour, every delay, every disappointment is just a redirection toward something greater. You can always tell when someone has learned this truth. They radiate calm in chaos. They speak life into darkness. They don't gossip. They don't complain. They don't chase validation because they've learned that peace is too expensive to trade for approval. Their altitude, their ability to stay above negativity, comes from the decision to not let other people's storms pull them down. If you want to rise, you must adjust your inner weather before you can change your outer world. You can't plant seeds of doubt and expect a harvest of destiny. You can't keep rehearsing your pain and expect peace to bloom. The way you speak about your life becomes the way you live it. Every I can't becomes a wall. Every I will becomes a bridge. So when you wake up, don't just check your reflection in the mirror and check your reflection in your thoughts. Ask yourself, am I speaking from faith or fear? Sometimes your altitude is not limited by your environment, but by your perspective. You may be standing in a valley and still see the horizon. You may be surrounded by difficulty, but still dream of light. That's what attitude does. It transforms limitations into ladders. It doesn't deny the mountain, it simply believes it can climb it. People will often tell you to be realistic, but realism without faith is just another name for surrender. The world doesn't need more realists. It needs believers who see beyond the visible, who act as if the miracle has already happened. The people who fly high in life aren't the ones with perfect conditions. They're the ones who created wind when there was none. They didn't wait for the sky to clear. They rose through the storm. That's altitude born from attitude. When you believe in yourself, something powerful happens. The energy you release becomes contagious. Others start to believe too. Doors begin to open not because the world changed, but because you did. The higher your attitude, the more light you see. The more light you see, the more opportunities you attract. Your outer life is simply a reflection of your inner elevation. Think about it. When a plane takes off, it faces the wind, not away from it. The resistance is what gives it lift. Life works the same way. The challenges that try to push you back are the very ones teaching you how to rise. When your attitude shifts from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this teaching me?" you stop being a victim of your circumstances and become a master of them. And here's the truth. Every successful person you've ever admired once stood exactly where you are, unsure, afraid, uncertain of their next move. What made them rise wasn't that life was easier for them. It was that they refused to bow to fear. They looked at the storm and said, "I'll find a way." That's the spirit that moves mountains. That's the altitude of champions. You may not be able to control the way life unfolds, but you can always control how you respond. You can choose patience over panic, wisdom over worry, faith over fear. Every choice you make lifts or lowers your altitude. And the higher you rise, the smaller your problems appear. Attitude is the bridge between your dreams and your destiny. It's what keeps you steady when everything else shakes. The truth is, your future isn't waiting on your luck or your background, it's waiting on your mindset. The world bends to those who believe deeply in their power to rise. So hold your head high. Speak life into your days. Walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are guided, guarded, and growing. Because when your attitude is right, the impossible becomes possible. When your heart stays open, the world opens too. And no matter how fierce the storm, no matter how heavy the weight, you'll always find a way to rise. Not because the path is easy, but because your spirit was never meant to crawl. It was built to soar. Pain is a teacher, not a punishment. Those words carry a truth that most people only learn after their hearts have been broken, after their dreams have been delayed, or after they've walked through a valley so dark they could barely see their own reflection. Pain has a way of finding us when we least expect it. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't ask permission. It enters our lives like a storm, shaking everything we thought was stable. Yet what we often fail to realize is that pain doesn't come to destroy us. It comes to develop us. It doesn't visit to take something away. It arrives to reveal something within. When life hurts, our first instinct is to run. We numb, we distract, we deny. We think that escaping pain will preserve our peace, but it only delays our growth. Because hidden inside every heartbreak, every failure, every tear is a sacred lesson waiting to be understood. Pain is not a punishment from the universe. It is an invitation to awareness. It asks us to pause, to look deeper, to listen closer to the whispers of our own soul. Every scar you carry has a story, and that story is not one of defeat, but of becoming. Think back to the moments that changed you, not the easy ones, but the ones that broke you open. You didn't learn your strength when everything was going right. You learned it when everything was falling apart. You didn't discover your patience in seasons of comfort. You found it in moments where all you could do was wait. That's the curriculum of pain. It teaches you what comfort never could. Pain has a way of stripping away the unnecessary. It exposes truth. It removes illusions. It humbles the ego. When life hurts, you begin to see who truly loves you, what truly matters, and who you truly are. You stop chasing noise. You stop running after validation. You stop pretending. Pain pulls you out of the performance of life and places you in the presence of it. It makes you real. It makes you raw. And in that rawness, you find clarity. There are people who curse their pain and people who bless it. The difference between the two is perspective. One sees pain as evidence of being cursed, the other sees it as evidence of being called. When you understand that pain is not here to punish, but to prepare, you begin to walk differently through life. You stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift from resistance to reflection is where transformation begins. You may not realize it now, but every heartbreak taught you how to love better. Every rejection taught you how to value yourself more. Every disappointment taught you how to stand on your own 2 feet. Pain refines the soul the way fire refines gold, not to destroy its worth, but to reveal its purity. Without fire, gold remains dull. Without pain, purpose remains hidden. There will be moments when the lesson seems cruel, moments when the tears blur your vision and your faith feels thin. In those times, remember that teachers are not always gentle, but they are always purposeful. Pain doesn't speak in comfort, it speaks in truth. It will keep repeating the same lesson until you learn it. The people who hurt you will mirror the boundaries you haven't built. The situations that frustrate you will expose the patterns you haven't healed. Life is not punishing you. It is showing you what still needs your attention. When you shift your mindset, pain becomes sacred. It becomes a compass guiding you toward healing. It becomes a sculptor shaping you into the person you were meant to be. It becomes a mirror reflecting parts of yourself you've been avoiding. You start to see that your suffering was never wasted. It was working. The struggle was strengthening something inside you that ease never could. There is wisdom in wounds. Every time you fall apart and rebuild yourself, you rise with new insight. Pain teaches empathy. It teaches humility. It teaches compassion for others who are hurting too. Once you've walked through your own fire, you can sit with someone else in theirs. You stop judging and start understanding. You stop speaking from theory and start speaking from truth. The strongest people you know aren't the ones who've never been broken. They're the ones who learn to use their broken pieces to build something beautiful. They've cried on the bathroom floor and still gotten up to face another day. They've been betrayed and still chosen to love again. They've lost everything they thought they needed and still found a reason to smile. Pain taught them that happiness isn't found in the absence of struggle, but in the decision to find light within it. When pain enters your life, you have 2 choices. Let it harden you or let it teach you. If you let it harden you, you become bitter. You close off your heart. You move through life protecting your wounds instead of healing them. But if you let it teach you, you become better. You see meaning where others see misery. You rise stronger, softer, wiser. You begin to trust that every ending is a hidden beginning, that every fall is a rehearsal for flight. Pain will ask you to surrender what you cannot control. It will demand that you release attachments to what was so you can make room for what will be. It will remind you that growth and comfort cannot coexist. The most beautiful versions of yourself are birthed in discomfort, molded in uncertainty, refined in pressure. Just as a seed must break before it blooms, you must sometimes shatter before you shine. It's easy to praise the lessons once the healing has come, but real power is learning to trust the process while you're still in the dark. To say, I don't know why this hurts, but I believe it's not without purpose. That's where true faith lives, not in knowing the answers, but in believing the pain is leading you somewhere good. So when you feel lost, don't curse the ache. Listen to it. Ask it what it's trying to tell you. Maybe it's asking you to slow down. Maybe it's showing you that you've been ignoring your own needs. Maybe it's calling you back to yourself. Pain always carries a message, but you must be still enough to hear it. Time will pass, the wounds will heal, and one day you'll look back and realize that the pain you once thought would destroy you was actually rebuilding you. It was polishing your soul. It was aligning your path. The fire that burned you was also the fire that freed you. You learned resilience not by being spared from the storm, but by surviving it. So no, pain is not a punishment. It is a wise, sometimes harsh, but always honest teacher. It doesn't come to break you. It comes to awaken you, to remind you that strength is not born in sunshine. It's forged in shadow, to teach you that you can lose everything and still not lose yourself. Pain doesn't mark the end of your story. It marks the beginning of a deeper, wiser, more powerful you. Protect your mind like a garden, because it is one. Everything that grows in your life, your peace, your joy, your fears, your dreams, starts from the seeds planted in your thoughts. Your mind is not a storage room, it is fertile soil. And what you allow to be planted there will determine the quality of your life. You cannot grow roses from thorns, and you cannot grow peace from poison. Every thought, every belief, every word you repeat to yourself becomes a seed that will one day rise and bear fruit. That is why protecting your mind is not just important, it is essential to your becoming. The truth is, we live in a world constantly trying to plant seeds in us. The media plants fear, the world plants comparison, people plant doubt, sometimes without even meaning to. Everywhere you turn, something is trying to take root in your spirit. If you are not careful, your mind becomes overgrown with weeds, thoughts that choke your confidence, strangle your dreams, and drain your energy. That's why you must guard it the same way a gardener guards his most delicate flowers. You must decide what is allowed to stay and what must be removed. A healthy garden does not happen by accident. It requires attention, intention, and care. You cannot neglect your mind and expect it to stay pure. Negativity spreads faster than you can imagine. One seed of worry becomes a forest of anxiety. One thought of unworthiness can grow into a lifetime of self-doubt. If you don't uproot those weeds early, they'll wrap around your potential until you forget what you were meant to bloom into. Protecting your mind means paying attention to what you feed it, what you allow to live there, and what you must let go. You are the gatekeeper of your mental garden. Every conversation, every song, every image, every environment you expose yourself to is like rain or poison to your soil. When you feed your mind with chaos, don't be surprised when your life feels chaotic. When you feed it with gratitude, faith, and love, don't be surprised when peace begins to grow. You cannot harvest joy from bitterness, and you cannot plant envy and expect fulfillment. You become the product of your own mental climate. Protecting your mind doesn't mean pretending everything is beautiful when it's not. A gardener knows storms will come, pests will arrive, seasons will change. Protection means preparation. It means knowing what to do when darkness comes. When fear shows up, you counter it with truth. When doubt whispers, you speak faith louder. When negativity tries to take root, you pull it out before it settles. This discipline, this daily tending, is what keeps your mind alive and fertile for growth. There will always be weeds trying to find their way into your thoughts. That's life. People will speak against you. The world will challenge you. Your own past may echo reminders of failure. But you decide whether those words take root or not. You can't stop the birds from flying over your garden, but you can stop them from building a nest in it. In the same way, you cannot stop negative thoughts from appearing, but you can refuse to let them stay. A wise gardener knows that pruning is part of growth. Sometimes you must cut away things that once looked good but no longer serve you. Old beliefs that tell you you're not enough. Old fears that tell you to stay small. Old habits that drain your peace. Protecting your mind means pruning anything that blocks your light. Let go of what keeps you rooted in pain. Because a garden that's never pruned will grow wild, and wildness, when unmanaged, becomes chaos. The soil of your mind also needs nourishment. Just as plants need sunlight and water, your mind needs inspiration and truth. Read words that strengthen you. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth. Listen to voices that lift you higher instead of weighing you down. Speak kindly to yourself. Every word you say is like watering your own roots. You cannot speak negativity and expect your spirit to blossom. There is also beauty in silence. A garden needs rest between the rains, and your mind needs peace between the noise. Silence is where the soul breathes, where you reconnect with your center. It's where you can hear your own thoughts clearly and decide which ones deserve to grow. Protecting your mind sometimes means unplugging, stepping away, choosing solitude over distraction. You can't hear wisdom in the middle of constant noise. Growth often happens quietly. There will be people who try to plant their fears in your garden because they didn't learn how to grow their own. They will tell you your dreams are too big, your timing is wrong, your path is impossible. But remember, their words are seeds too, and you don't have to let them take root. You don't have to make room for voices that don't believe in your potential. Protecting your mind means having the courage to say, no, not here, not in my garden. Your thoughts create your atmosphere. Whatever you think about most often becomes your reality. That's not magic, it's alignment. Your body follows your mind. Your energy follows your focus. So when you fill your mind with strength, possibility, and love, your life begins to reflect it. But when you dwell on loss, fear, or failure, your garden starts to wither. Protecting your mind is not just about removing the bad, it's about nurturing the good until it outgrows the darkness. There's also a rhythm to mental gardening. You don't plant today and harvest tomorrow. Growth takes time. Healing takes patience. You may not see the results immediately, but something is happening beneath the surface. Every time you replace a negative thought with a positive one, you're cultivating new roots. Every time you choose peace over panic, you're strengthening your soil. Every time you practice gratitude, you're expanding your inner light. Growth is quiet but steady. You may not see it daily, but one day you'll look around and realize that what once looked barren now blooms with life. Protecting your mind also means protecting your imagination. Your dreams are seeds too. If you constantly expose your imagination to fear, you'll shrink your vision. But if you feed it with faith, it will flourish. Don't limit what you can create by watering doubt. Believe in possibilities the way a gardener believes in spring after winter. You may not see the flowers yet, but you trust they're coming. There will always be moments when the weeds seem stronger than the flowers, when old thoughts creep in and new ones struggle to grow, when your faith feels small. But that's okay. Even the most beautiful gardens need constant care. The goal is not perfection, it's persistence. Keep tending, keep weeding, keep believing. The more you care for your mind, the more it will care for you. Your mind is sacred ground. Protect it like something precious because it is. Whatever you allow to grow, there will shape every word you speak, every choice you make, and every life you touch. And when you protect it, truly protect it, you will find that peace is not something you chase. It's something that blooms naturally from within. Gratitude is the greatest rebellion. In a world that teaches us to chase more, to compare more, to complain more, gratitude is the quiet uprising that restores peace to the soul. It is the act of saying, I have enough in a culture that constantly whispers, you're not enough. It's the decision to see light when darkness demands attention. Gratitude is not a weakness. It's strength in its purest form. The power to choose appreciation over anxiety, faith over frustration, and contentment over chaos. When you begin to practice gratitude, you're not just saying thank you for what you have. You're declaring war against the forces that want to make you forget how blessed you already are. Every commercial, every headline, every comparison tries to convince you that your life is missing something. But gratitude whispers, you already hold everything that truly matters. It's not about ignoring what's wrong. It's about refusing to let what's wrong define your entire story. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's living, from what's broken to what's still beautiful. There's a certain magic that happens when you start counting blessings instead of burdens. The same world, the same circumstances begin to look entirely different. You don't get a new life, you get new eyes. Suddenly, the small things start to matter. The morning light on your face, the laughter of someone you love, the food on your table, the fact that you woke up at all. Gratitude makes the ordinary holy. It turns moments into miracles. It teaches you to slow down enough to notice that even in your lowest seasons, there is still something to be thankful for. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it transforms how you carry it. When you are grateful, even sorrow has meaning. You begin to understand that some of your hardest days built the strength you're standing on now. You start to see that what broke you also built you. Gratitude rewires your heart to see blessings in disguise. The rejections that protected you, the delays that prepared you, the endings that opened space for new beginnings. When you live with gratitude, you no longer curse your pain, you learn from it. You see that every trial was a teacher and every detour was divine direction. But make no mistake, gratitude is not passive. It's not sitting quietly and pretending everything is fine. Gratitude is active resistance against negativity. It's standing tall in the middle of difficulty and still finding something to praise. It's the inner voice that says, I may not have all I want, but I have what I need to begin again. Gratitude is defiance in its most beautiful form. It's refusing to let bitterness take root. It's a rebellion against fear, scarcity, and self-pity. The ungrateful heart is easily manipulated by the world because it's always searching for something outside itself to feel whole. Gratitude breaks that cycle. It brings you back home to yourself. It reminds you that you don't need validation, applause, or perfection to be fulfilled. When you are grateful, your spirit becomes untouchable. You stop competing, you stop rushing. You start living from abundance instead of lack. The noise of the world fades because your soul has found something louder, peace. You can always tell when someone has learned gratitude deeply. Their presence feels calm. Their words carry grace. They don't complain as much because they see purpose in everything. They don't chase every trend or beg for recognition. Gratitude grounds them. It gives them roots that go deep. So when life's winds blow, they bend but don't break. They understand that happiness is not a destination. It's a practice, a perspective, a way of seeing. Gratitude also changes your relationships. When you live with a thankful heart, you stop expecting people to be perfect. You start appreciating the effort instead of criticizing the flaws. You learn to see the love behind the gesture, the lesson behind the conflict, the beauty in the imperfection. Gratitude softens judgment and opens the heart. It reminds you that everyone is doing their best, including you. And when you extend grace to others, you create an environment where peace can grow. There will be days when gratitude feels hard, when the losses are too heavy, when the disappointments cut deep, when nothing seems fair. In those moments, gratitude becomes the purest act of faith. It's not about pretending to be okay. It's about trusting that there is still goodness hidden in the ashes. Gratitude says, I may not understand this now, but I believe it's shaping me into something stronger. It's easy to give thanks when everything is going right. The real test is whether you can still find light when everything feels dark. The truth is, gratitude doesn't change the facts of your life. It changes the focus of your heart. You begin to see abundance where others see lack. You start to notice how much you've been carried, how much you've overcome. Gratitude pulls you out of the endless chase for more and brings you back to the miracle of now. It makes you realize that this moment, with all its imperfections, is still worthy of your presence. In a world obsessed with noise and speed, gratitude slows you down to breathe. It teaches you that joy doesn't always come in grand victories, but in small, quiet moments, the kind that often go unnoticed. Gratitude gives you permission to live gently, to stop waiting for perfect conditions, to find joy in the middle of the journey. It shifts your attention from what's missing to what's meaningful. Even in loss, gratitude finds its way, because gratitude doesn't depend on circumstance, it depends on awareness. You can lose things, but as long as you don't lose sight of what remains, you are still rich. Gratitude reminds you that life itself, the breath in your lungs, the beating of your heart, the chance to try again, is the greatest gift of all. The practice of gratitude is a revolution of the spirit. It is how you reclaim your joy from a world that profits from your discontent. When you choose gratitude, you are refusing to be controlled by envy, by fear, by emptiness. You are saying, I will not let darkness steal my light. Every thank you, every silent appreciation, every deep breath of recognition is an act of power. Gratitude doesn't wait for perfect timing. It creates it. It doesn't deny pain, it gives it purpose. It doesn't need everything to be right to find something right. And the more you practice it, the more life reveals reasons to keep practicing. The more thankful you are, the more you attract things worth being thankful for. Gratitude turns life into a circle of abundance, one that begins not with having more, but with seeing more. So when the world shouts for you to want, to rush, to chase, pause for a moment and whisper thank you. Thank you for the lessons, the scars, the strength. Thank you for the little things that keep you human. Thank you for another chance to rise. Because in that quiet rebellion of appreciation, you reclaim your peace. And peace, true, deep, unshakable peace, is the loudest rebellion of all. Forgiveness frees you, not them. It's one of the hardest lessons to learn, yet one of the most liberating truths you'll ever know. We often think forgiveness means letting someone else off the hook, as if we're doing them a favor. But forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's the key that unlocks your heart from the prison of pain. Because holding on to anger doesn't hurt the one who wronged you, it poisons the one who holds it. When you carry resentment, you carry the past. You replay the betrayal, the words, the moments that broke your trust. You think keeping that memory close protects you from ever being hurt again, but all it really does is keep the wound open. Bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't bring justice, it just steals your joy. Forgiveness, on the other hand, doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It means you refuse to let what happened define your peace. Many people misunderstand forgiveness as forgetting. But forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering without reliving. It's the ability to acknowledge what was done, recognize its impact, and still choose freedom over fury. Forgiveness doesn't rewrite the story. It rewrites how the story ends. It's choosing to close a chapter not because the pain wasn't real, but because your healing matters more. You see, forgiveness is not weakness. It takes far more strength to release anger than to hold it. Anyone can hate. Anyone can cling to resentment, but it takes courage to say, I won't let this pain own me. It takes power to love yourself enough to stop bleeding over a wound that someone else caused. When you forgive, you are reclaiming your energy. You are saying, you hurt me once. I will not let you hurt me twice by staying stuck in bitterness. Forgiveness is an act of self-respect. It's not an open door for people to mistreat you again. It's not pretending what they did was acceptable. It's creating distance from the pain while keeping your peace intact. You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. You can release resentment and still maintain boundaries. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means liberation. It's not about trusting them again. It's about trusting yourself again. There's a quiet power in deciding to forgive. You stop needing apologies that may never come. You stop waiting for justice to fix what only grace can heal. You take responsibility for your own emotional peace. You stop letting someone else's choices decide your energy. When you forgive, you take your life back. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. We carry guilt for the things we didn't know, the mistakes we made, the chances we missed. We beat ourselves up for being human, for loving people who hurt us, for not walking away sooner. But self-forgiveness is just as vital as forgiving others. Because as long as you're angry with yourself, you can't fully grow. You can't step into the person you're becoming while still punishing the person you were. You must look at your reflection and say, I did the best I could with what I knew then. Now I know better, so I will do better. That's healing. That's grace. Forgiveness doesn't erase accountability. It allows you to move forward without carrying emotional debt. You can acknowledge the wrong, learn from it, and still choose to move with love. The more you hold on to hate, the heavier your spirit becomes. The more you release it, the lighter your soul feels. Forgiveness is the art of letting go without losing yourself in the process. When you refuse to forgive, you give the past power over your present. You let the person who hurt you keep living rent-free in your mind. They go on with their life while you're still stuck reliving the moment they caused you pain. Forgiveness cuts that cord. It ends the cycle. It says, you no longer control how I feel. That's the freedom that comes when you stop needing closure from others and start creating it for yourself. Sometimes the person you need to forgive will never understand the damage they caused. They may never say sorry. They may never change. But forgiveness doesn't depend on them. It depends on you. It's your choice to heal even when the apology never arrives. It's your decision to stop waiting for someone else to make peace with your pain. You don't need their words to close your wound. You only need your willingness to let go. Forgiveness is not instant. It's a process. Some days you'll feel like you've moved on, and others you'll feel the sting all over again. That's okay. Healing is not linear. Every time you choose to release a little more anger, you're freeing a piece of yourself. Every time you choose peace over revenge, you're rebuilding your strength. Forgiveness grows in layers, one breath, one choice, one moment at a time. There's a quiet transformation that happens when you finally forgive. The memories remain, but the pain loses its grip. You begin to see that forgiveness is not about the past. It's about the future. It's about creating space in your heart for new joy, new trust, new beginnings. You can't receive peace with clenched fists. You must open your hands, release what hurts, and make room for what heals. Forgiveness is an act of love, not for others, but for yourself. It's giving yourself permission to move forward without dragging chains behind you. It's deciding that your well-being matters more than your pride, because revenge may satisfy the ego, but forgiveness nourishes the soul. It gives you back your smile, your rest, your freedom to love again. When you forgive, you stop defining yourself by what happened to you and start defining yourself by how you rose above it. You turn your pain into wisdom, your wounds into wings. Forgiveness is not the end of justice. It's the beginning of peace. It's not saying you were right. It's saying I'm free. There will always be people who can't understand why you forgive. They'll call it weakness. They'll tell you to hold your grudge like armor. But forgiveness is not surrender. It's sovereignty. It's you standing tall, unchained, no longer ruled by the past. It's not about who deserves forgiveness. It's about who deserves freedom, and that person is you. You forgive because you value your heart more than your hurt. You forgive because peace feels better than anger. You forgive because you've realized that carrying pain is too heavy for a soul meant to fly. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It transforms it into a lesson. It reminds you that even in betrayal, you can still choose love. Even in loss, you can still choose life. And maybe that's the deepest truth of all. Forgiveness doesn't change what happened, but it changes what happens next. It doesn't rewrite the story, but it writes a new ending, one where you are no longer a prisoner of pain, but the author of peace. Positivity requires discipline. It's not something that just happens to you. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice. The world often talks about positivity as if it's a natural gift, something you either have or you don't. But real positivity, the kind that stands firm when storms come, is not born out of comfort. It's forged through struggle. It's a daily decision to see light when darkness is louder, to choose faith when fear makes more sense. You see, anyone can be positive when life is kind, when doors open easily, and when people treat you with love. But discipline is tested when life starts to shake, when disappointments pile up, when loneliness creeps in. That's when positivity becomes a practice, not a mood. It's not smiling through pain. It's believing there's meaning beyond it. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's knowing that even in the brokenness, something beautiful is still being built. Discipline is what keeps your mind steady when emotions try to pull you under. It's what helps you rise each morning and say, "I will not let this day defeat me." You don't become positive by wishing for peace. You become positive by working for it, by training your thoughts like muscles, lifting the weight of every challenge until your inner strength grows stronger than your circumstances. Positivity is not about ignoring pain. It's about refusing to let pain dictate your perspective. It's about learning how to pause before reacting, how to breathe before breaking, how to shift your focus from what's lost to what remains. That takes effort. That takes awareness. It takes the maturity to say, I can't control what happens, but I can control how I respond. That's the discipline behind true positivity. The human mind is wired to focus on problems. It's a survival instinct. But positivity is not survival. It's creation. It's building something from the ashes. It's choosing to look for light, even when your eyes are tired of the dark. Discipline teaches you to challenge the mind when it wanders into negativity, to interrupt thoughts that tell you you're not enough, that nothing will work out, that you're stuck forever. Discipline whispers, no, we're not staying here. We're moving forward. There's a deep connection between focus and positivity. You can't be positive if your focus is scattered between fears and what-ifs. Discipline trains you to redirect your attention, to catch your thoughts when they drift toward doubt and gently pull them back toward hope. It's not about denying reality. It's about seeing it through a lens of possibility. When you train your mind to look for the lesson instead of the loss, for the strength instead of the suffering, your entire life begins to shift. Positivity requires consistency. It's not built in grand moments of motivation, but in small, quiet choices. Getting up when you'd rather stay down, speaking kindly when anger feels easier, finding gratitude in the middle of waiting. It's reminding yourself daily that your attitude is your responsibility. No one else can do that work for you. Think of positivity like a garden. You can't plant good seeds once and expect flowers forever. You must water them, protect them from weeds, and nurture them through seasons. The weeds, your doubts, your fears, your comparisons, will always try to grow back. That's why discipline matters. It's not about pretending the weeds don't exist. It's about pulling them out again and again until positivity becomes your default soil. Some days, maintaining positivity feels like an uphill climb. You'll have moments where your energy fades, where negative voices, both internal and external, grow loud. But those are the moments when discipline shows its true purpose. Because positivity without challenge is easy, but positivity through pain is power. You don't become stronger by escaping difficulty. You become stronger by facing it with faith. The disciplined mind learns to pause before spiraling. It learns to question its fears and reframe its failures. It learns that one bad day doesn't mean a bad life. That one closed door doesn't mean no doors will ever open. Positivity becomes a lens that helps you interpret life differently. It's not naive optimism. It's spiritual resilience. It's knowing that light still exists, even when the sky is overcast. Many people confuse positivity with perfection. They think being positive means being happy all the time. But true positivity allows sadness, frustration, and confusion. It just doesn't let them stay. Discipline teaches you emotional balance. It gives you the strength to feel deeply without drowning. It helps you honor your emotions while still protecting your peace. Every day offers two choices: to react or to respond. Reaction is automatic, emotional, and often rooted in fear. Response is thoughtful, intentional, and rooted in discipline. The more disciplined you are, the more positive your responses become. You start meeting negativity with calmness instead of chaos, criticism with compassion instead of defensiveness. You realize that peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the ability to remain centered in the middle of it. It doesn't wait for external validation. It builds strength from within. Because when your positivity comes from discipline, no situation can take it from you. Every day is a training ground. Every obstacle is an opportunity to practice peace. Every moment you choose to stay calm, to trust, to rise above, you're mastering the art of disciplined positivity. You become your own coach, your own encourager, your own light in the dark. And that's the kind of positivity that lasts. Not because life is easy, but because you are steadfast. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't wait to feel positive. Decide to be positive, not because everything is perfect, but because you're choosing progress over pity. You're choosing strength over surrender. You're choosing to see that discipline is not a burden, it's a bridge. It's what carries you from fear to faith, from despair to determination, from surviving to thriving. Because in the end, positivity is not the absence of struggle. It's the discipline to rise through it with your spirit intact. You are built for the storm. You may not believe it when the clouds gather, when the winds of life roar so loud that you can barely hear your own thoughts, but you are stronger than you think. You weren't made for calm waters alone. You were designed to withstand waves, to rise again after every fall, to bend but never break. The storm doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to reveal what you're made of. Life has a way of testing our foundations. When everything feels steady, we often don't realize the depth of our own strength. But when the ground shakes, when people leave, when plans crumble and dreams feel distant, that's when the truth shows up. That's when you find out that your spirit has roots deeper than the storm. You discover that there's a part of you that refuses to surrender, that no wind can uproot. That part of you is your power. Storms don't ask for permission. They arrive suddenly, sometimes without warning. They bring confusion, pain, and change. But what if the storm isn't a punishment? What if it's preparation? What if the chaos that scares you is shaping you into someone wiser, more grounded, more courageous than you were before? The greatest transformations often happen when life seems to fall apart. It's in the breaking that you rebuild stronger. When you're in the middle of a storm, it's easy to feel forgotten, to think the calm will never return. But the truth is, even the fiercest storm eventually runs out of rain. The sky will clear, the winds will soften, and you'll realize you've become someone new, someone unshakable. The strength that once felt out of reach will now live within you. You'll look back and see that the very thing you thought would break you was the thing that built you. You see, storms don't just test your endurance, they awaken your faith. They remind you that you're not in control of the weather, but you can control how you navigate it. You can anchor yourself in hope, even when everything feels uncertain. You can choose to stand firm, not because life is easy, but because your spirit refuses to bow to fear. Every storm you survive is a message that says, you are still here, you are still standing. There is something sacred about resilience. It's quiet, steady, and often unseen. People may not notice the strength it takes just to get out of bed, to smile through pain, to keep believing when the world feels cruel. But you know the battle it takes to stay hopeful in hard times. That silent fight, that unspoken courage, that's what makes you powerful beyond measure. Don't curse the storm, learn from it. It's teaching you patience when everything feels delayed. It's teaching you trust when you can't see the path ahead. It's teaching you surrender, not as defeat, but as faith that life is still unfolding for your good. Sometimes the rain is necessary to wash away what no longer serves you. Sometimes the thunder wakes up the strength that comfort made you forget. The storm also reveals who truly stands with you. When the skies darken, fair weather friends often disappear. But the real ones, the souls who hold your hand through the wind, those are the ones who deserve your love and loyalty. Storms strip away illusion. They leave behind truth. And that truth, no matter how hard, is freedom. You must remember that you carry light even in the darkest hour. The storm might surround you, but it cannot drown what was built within you. You are not fragile. You are forged. The same way gold is refined by fire, your spirit is refined by adversity. Every trial, every tear, every setback is molding you into someone unbreakable. You are not falling apart. You are being remade. There will be moments when you want to give up, when the noise feels too loud and the pain too heavy. But this is not the end of your story. This is the chapter where you learn your own strength. Keep moving, even if it's slow. Keep believing, even when you can't see the shore. Every step you take through the storm is proof of your endurance. You are not powerless, you are persistent. And persistence always finds peace. Think about how nature works. The strongest trees aren't those grown in perfect weather. They're the ones that have faced years of wind and rain. Their roots run deep because they had to hold on when everything around them was shaking. You are no different. Life's storms are not sent to destroy you, they are sent to deepen you. Every challenge is digging your roots deeper into wisdom, resilience, and grace. When you finally come out on the other side, and you will, you'll carry something precious with you. Perspective, strength, gratitude. You'll see life differently. You'll appreciate calm more deeply, love more fiercely, and walk more humbly. You'll understand that storms are temporary, but what they leave behind is eternal. So when the next storm comes, don't fear it. Stand tall. Remind yourself, I've been through worse. I've survived before, and I'll survive again. The storm may roar, but it cannot outlast your faith. You've been built for endurance, for transformation, for victory. The same Creator who gave you breath gave you resilience. That's not an accident, it's a design. Your heart may bend, but it won't break. Your faith may tremble, but it won't fail. You are built for this. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every uncertain night. The storm might test your strength, but it cannot take your spirit. You were born with everything you need to make it through. And when the rain stops, when the sky clears, and you look around at all you've overcome, you'll realize something powerful. The storm didn't defeat you. It revealed you. It showed you who you are, what you carry, and how unstoppable you can be. You are built for the storm, not to merely survive it, but to rise from it, stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever comes next. When the night feels too long and your heart too heavy, remember this: you were never meant to live as a victim of circumstance. You were born to be a creator of light. Keep your mind lifted. Keep your heart open. And when life asks, "Are you still standing?" you look back and say, "I am not just standing. I am soaring.